Hey guys, so we've got another Conquest video today. I know, you're probably sick of them, but I think this one is really important because now we've got exclusive characters in Conquest, and now we also have Datacron materials in Conquest, so it's even more important to try to focus there and really get as far as you can in terms of rewards and make sure your roster is built to handle it. And since we have that 4 million GP gate getting into hard conquest, I think it's really important that you have the teams built once you hit 4 million GP that will help you through conquest. So I want to go over those. I want to show you these ones because these are teams that I have used every single conquest since it began. So it's been over a year and I use them every single time for feats. They get through sectors. I'm not going to be focusing on Galactic Legends, so all of these teams are kind of just built on their own. They're meant to be teams without a Galactic Legend on them, and I think that's really important. Obviously, Galactic Legends are going to make your time in Conquest significantly easier. It's basically an easy button when you have them for when you're facing a node or a boss or whichever that is significantly more difficult than the ones you were just on, whether it's the modifier that the team has or the team makeup or whatever. But these are teams that don't revolve around them, so I think that's really important. And I'm going to explain why I've built them the way I have, flex characters you can use, that kind of thing, and then just kind of 4 plug and play characters that I think are really important for Conquest. One of them is a Galactic Legend, full disclosure, and if you know anything about me, you probably know which one it's going to be. So let's hop into the game. And crazy. Okay, so the first one that I obviously am going to point out is Commander Luke. So this Rebel team, it is a great team to walk through Conquest. The only team that I really don't like using it against, to be honest, is teams with Nest on them. But that's just in general with Commander Luke. But it's really great. You've got stuns on it, you've got evasion down, you've got healing, you've got blind. It just walks through really well for a Conquest team, and usually you're going to 3-star a node. You might have some difficulty in your later sectors depending on what your relic level looks like, but overall it's just a super good, strong team to have in your back pocket or front pocket, whatever, while you're making your way through Conquest. Okay, so then the next one that you want to have built up is Gas 501st. It doesn't necessarily need to be Gas lead, to be totally honest with you. You could do Shock 501st, but I really just like having them in general built up. It's just such a good team, again, to walk through. You've got pretty much everything here. It's armor shred, you've got tenacity up, you've got stuns, like you've got so many debuffs through this team that you're able to walk through and apply if that's something that you're worried with feats. But it's just a good team in general that gets you through the nodes cleanly, and that's something that is seeming to be more important now, especially with Datacrons, with these bonus nodes that we're getting. You kind of want to be as clean as possible if you can, just so that you can farm those Datacron materials, and then you don't have to worry about going back and cleaning up nodes earlier on. Okay. So the next one here is a Darth Revan. I like to have dark side teams built up as well. This one is kind of flex with your 5th character. I pretty much will always use Darth Revan, HK, Malik, and Bastilla, and then honestly it's a toss-up between Marauder, Sith Empire Trooper, just kind of whoever you need to plug and play there. But you've got Shock on this team, you've got Fear, you've got Stagger on this team, you've got evasion down on this team. Like, there's just so many debuffs as well here that if you're trying to apply them for feats, you're good. And it's just a great team as well that typically can walk through fairly easily, in my experience, in the Conquest sectors. I actually only took Bastilla up to Relic 3 today. So she was even lower before, and I haven't been having a lot of issues. And I don't typically use Marauder there. You can use pretty much any other Sith Empire character. It is important to know that if you are using Darth Revan lead, you will want, in order to have like a full synergy type team, You will want all Sith Empire characters. Obviously, like, you can put together whatever team you want, and if it wins, it wins. But if you're worried about your team not being strong enough to get through the sector, you want to maximize your synergies. Okay, and then you have your troopers. So again, another team that is just going to walk through. I don't really use this team, to be honest with you, in terms of any feats in particular. It's just a good team to have in my back pocket for when I want to continue moving forward through sectors and knowing that I'm probably going to be able to 3-star the node with them. So it's another team that is just there where you can manage the situation, you can get a handle on the team that you're facing. Obviously, you want to go against teams that allow you to gain bonus turn meter. So I'm not going to tell you to take this against a Hux lead first order. No, it's probably not going to work out for you. But it is good to have so that you can just kind of keep moving forward and getting through these sectors as quickly as possible so that you can start working on those datacrons. Okay, so this team, you're probably like, why are there only 3? This is the team that you want to have to cheese feats. So by cheese feats, I mean you're going to want your BAM lead. You need the Zeta on this. Like, it's very important. I'm just going to say it. You need it. It will not work without it. I have tried it without it. It will not work. So you want your BAM lead, Han, and Chewie, and then volatile accelerator for one of your discs, and amplify agony. What will happen is you'll create, Han will shoot first, and then you just create this infinite turn meter, infinite loop, where your team just takes turns. This team cheeses so much when you have that disc build up. You can win 3-starring nodes with characters surviving, which is why I left those 2 character slots empty at the end, because if you need to win with T3M4 surviving in Sector 5, this team's going to do it for you. If you need to win with Jedi Consular surviving, whoever it is, this team is going to do it for you. I've only had it not work once, and it was because of a modifier on the team, not because the team just wasn't doing what it was supposed to do. So again, you need the specific disc set up, you need the Zeta, and then you can just melt through as you go along. One of the things that I also really like with this team is that it's no Jedi, no Sith, and as long as you don't put an aligned Force user on here, so Kat, for example, you don't want her on there, you'll also get those feats with this team as well, which I forgot to mention you would get with clone troopers. So if we go back to the top here, this Gas 501st team, you can actually run this without General Skywalker. You can run Rex lead and sub in Chewie from your CLS team for guard. And that's another no Jedi, no Sith, no aligned Force users team that also walks through pretty easily in the sectors. Sorry, guys. COVID cough is still getting me. Okay. The next one, Padme Support specifically. So the reason why I want Padme Support specifically is because usually there is a feat where you have to win without attackers, or you need to win with support on your team, or whatever the phrasing is. So all of these characters are support or tank with Kenobi there. But if you give her a Zealous Ambition disc, you are going to hit so hard with this team. It's amazing. But you also have a lot of debuffs getting pumped out with this team. You've got cleanses happening. It's just so much fun. Yoda's obviously one of the stars here, but you've got stuns, you've got potency down, you've got foresight. If you need to gain foresight for a feat, like, there's just a ton of stuff that's happening here that's a lot of fun. Okay, the Separatists. I love this team so much. Honestly, if I had to pick a favorite team for Conquest, it would be pretty high up there, just in terms of how reliable it is. Again, you're walking through sectors with this General Grievous team. I like having Newt on there for the extortion, and I have had better results with him as my 5th instead of Droidica or another droid. You could probably use BB-8, but I really prefer having Newt there. But this team is great. You're going to walk through the sector. Like I said, you're usually going to 3-star a node with it. You can get droid kills if that's a feat. You've got health steal from Grievous. You're getting stuns. You're clearing debuffs. Or clearing buffs, sorry. So this team is really, really good for managing and walking your way through. And usually you're just making your way through the sector with them and not really having to worry about whether or not you are going to lose anyone, because you're gaining so much turn meter from pumping out all of the target lock on your enemies. So as long as you're managing that properly, you're going to be good. Okay. So Empire I usually use as well. And my 5th is usually really flexible. It's kind of just whoever I want to throw on there. I like having Palpatine lead, particularly lately because of Mara Jade. But you can do a Darth Vader lead if you wanted to. Honestly, either or would work. This team is great. Honestly, I don't know how many off the top of my head, but we've gotten Empire kills or Empire wins in the last few conquests several times, which is why I think having an Empire fleet in particular is so important. And obviously you have troopers, but this one is even better because you've got an AoE stun, which usually stunning is a feat in Conquest that you want to inflict. You've got an AoE stagger for Mara Jade, and usually we need to inflict stagger as well. So those are really great for having those there. You have an AoE health steal up from Palpatine with his second special. He gives it to all of his allies. So that's a great one to have there. The reason why I like having Thrawn on this team is honestly just to pass the turns around. So if I'm working on specific feats like health steal up, I'm going to pass the turn to Palpatine whenever I can so I can cycle back around to that special even faster and gain health steal up again as many times as possible during the battle. Vader, obviously, you've got ability block, you've got dots, like it's just, you have his merciless massacre, so it's great in terms of if you are hoping to get Empire kills, usually Vader is just going to do it for you, and it's absolutely amazing and beautiful. So, really, really fun team. Okay, bounty hunters. We have had quite a few bounty hunter feats lately. It's been a recent thing, so I think it is a little bit of a trend. But I do like having them in general just because they are a lot of fun. They do get through the sector pretty quickly. They are a no Jedi, no Sith, no aligned Force user team, so you can usually use them there. And I found that they've worked really well for most of the bosses recently. And it's just a lot of fun to be able to have a team in your back pocket that does that. So that is that. So this next Jedi team, I usually will mix this up, but this is how I would run it right now if I wasn't using a Galactic Legend. And I split them in a specific manner on purpose. So this is the kind of default team Jedi Knight Revan lead with Jedi Knight Luke, Bastilla, Jolee, and Old Ben. And I leave this team kind of as it is so that I can have a different Jedi team with Jedi Master Luke, and that lets me have 2 Jedi squads available so I can make my way through the sectors. But you've got healing here, you've got stuns, you've got an AoE stun, you've got blind, you have ability block from Bastilla. There's just a lot of fun stuff happening here. You have evasion down with Old Ben. I just like having a tank on this team in general. But this team is really good for control, which makes it really good to walk through a sector and not have to worry about dropping a star or something like that on a node. And it's just fun. And then you've got, I like having Jedi Knight Revan in particular here as the lead because of his not necessarily lead, but his unique gives you that savior ability. So you're able to kind of withstand a little bit of a barrage and not worry about losing a character. Jolie's there to bring them back though, which will let you 3-star either way. But I really like having Jedi Knight Revan for the leadership. I like having him there for the heal. I think that is also really important as well in the turn swap. So that will let you kind of manage what's happening. And this is a team, Jedi Knight Revan in particular as a leader, is something that I've noticed has been really helpful based off what's happening with modifiers on bosses and needing characters to survive. So I say that with the Jedi Consular and Jedi Knight Guardian feat in particular from this set. Jedi Knight Revan lead is what actually got me that feat because I was able to keep healing them so many times. So that was really, really helpful. Okay, and then this team, it's not really a team, but the last one, Smugglers. And you might be wondering why I have Kira lead here instead of Dash. You can use Dash, it's totally fine. You can see my Kira is gear 10. The only reason she is here is because she has an AoE stagger. That is the only reason. And that is one of the only reasons why I will tell you that you need a smuggler team. Veteran smuggler Han has a stagger on his basic. If the enemy is already debuffed, he'll go again as long as he's not dazed. Something to keep in mind. If he's dazed, he won't take a second shot, but he will take a second shot if the enemy is debuffed and inflict stagger. So I really like having a smuggler team. We have seen smuggler-based feats for close to a year in Conquest. They don't seem to be going away. The other two smugglers you want to put here are pretty much totally up to you. I honestly like putting Han and Chewie on this team just because if it's a feat where you need to win so many battles with smugglers, Han and Chewie will usually carry it for you if your smugglers are weak, like mine usually are. And honestly, otherwise, they're just there, and it just kind of guarantees that the battle doesn't go too sideways. And like I said, Kira's only there for a stagger. So if it's just a smuggler feat in general and you're not working on stagger, I would go with Dash lead instead. But stagger in particular, I like it because she's got the AoE. So, and you can usually get a few out of her before she dies, depending on the team that you're facing. Okay, so the last thing that I really want to focus on are kind of like bonus tunes, if you will, for Conquest. So Jedi Master Luke is no surprise, I think, to anybody. If you are new to this channel, then Jedi Master Luke, in my opinion, is the best galactic legend for Conquest. Before I continue, and before you even tell me it in the comments, I know Lord Vader is amazing because he can walk through sectors and solo them, and he just AoEs everyone to death, and I get that, and I can appreciate that. Jedi Master Luke will help you get feats done. If you need to inflict debuffs, Jedi Master Luke is your leader. If you need to get kills with certain characters or certain factions, Jedi Master Luke is your leader. As long as, of course, caveat, those characters are light side. Because with his leadership, you're going to be able to call them to assist. You pick a team that doesn't have an AoE on them. They're only going to target Luke because you're also going to take Watt with him to give him the taunt. And you'll be able to spam those debuffs, those kills, whatever it is that you're working on because of Jedi Master Luke lead. It is one of the best ways to get around Conquest, in my opinion. And I've red created several times on Professor X's account, Zerus Alt, with just Jedi Master Luke as the only galactic legend available on the account. So it is doable without another galactic legend, and I highly, highly recommend it. Is he the best galactic legend to go for right away or for your first one? That's a whole other discussion. But for Conquest in particular, I highly recommend having him just because he's going to make a lot of these feats easier. Watt, like I said, will usually go with Jedi Master Luke. He's going to go on a lot of teams, though, that you want to trigger your Frenzy tech on because the Frenzy consumable is something that is going to help you get these feats done. So having Watt there with his Zeta, just so that he can take the bonus turn at the start and trigger everyone, makes it really easy to get a lot of these feats done as well. So he's going to be your plug and play that goes pretty much anywhere. Thrawn, again, really enjoy having him solely for turn meter swapping or turn swapping with his special. It just lets me get feats done faster. It lets me make sure that certain characters that I want to take a turn do get to take a turn before, they might die because they're too weak or something like that. So having him as an option is really great. And then Hermit Yoda, I like having solely for the foresight that he's going to give the team. He's just become a character that really helps my teams stay alive. Obviously, I tend to stick him with Jedi, but it's been very beneficial in making sure that I am 3-starring the nodes as I make my way through Conquest, and then you don't, again, have to worry about going back and cleaning up. So those are the 4 bonus characters that I would, or 4, kind of key characters that I would consider important and also able to plug into whichever team that you need. The other thing that I wanted to mention before I let you go really, really quickly is you can see, obviously, these teams don't have Galactic Legends on them. So if you have Galactic Legends, you're going to have even more teams at your disposal than this. But these teams in particular, there are 11 here. Oops, sorry, I clicked into one. There are 11 teams here that I have quickly come up with that I would use every single time in Conquest. And the thing that I want to really highlight is stamina management. When you go into Conquest, if you haven't preloaded any energy from the Conquest before, you're going to start with 144 energy. So you're going to be able to do 7 battles right away. And there are 11 teams here. That means you should be able to do 7 battles with 7 different teams right away. And the reason why I think that's important is because when you go back in later on into Conquest, your characters are now back at full stamina again because they've only gone down 10% because you've only used them once. And I think that is a really key strategy in managing your stamina so that you can make your way through Conquest without dropping stars on combat missions because you're always going in with a team that's at 100% stamina. Obviously, that requires you to play Conquest multiple times during the day, and you're checking in on it every 4 or 5 hours to make sure you're using your teams. And if you can't do that, then it's a totally different story. But either way, you should be able to at least start Conquest with 7 different teams so that you're able to kind of manage your teams going forward. And I think that's a really important foundation for how you're going to move forward the rest of the 2 weeks in Conquest. So just kind of something to keep in mind. Hopefully you found this helpful. I would love to know if there are teams that you think are super important. These are teams that, again, I've just used regularly over the last year through Conquest. Obviously, as my roster grows, I'm going to add different teams to it, but I think they are pretty key in terms of getting through Conquest. And these are also my crutch teams. These are the teams that I always use every single time, unless there's something weird where, Geo kills, for example, which of course you would need Geos for, but just in general, as an overarching kind of, these are the squads that will help you. These are the ones that have helped me consistently get red crate every single time for over a year now. So all that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you found it helpful. I would love to know if you use a different tune or team, and hopefully we can all get to the max red crate or gold crate or whatever it is you're shooting for. Hopefully this helps you get there and plan for it. I'll see you next time.